Scott, I guess general, how are you guys doing, and how like match ready do you feel the program is?
Uh, how match ready? I don't know. It's kind of a unique situation right in the middle of the year, and next thing you know, you're on a 3-week break. So it's not ideal, but you got to be professional about it. You got to keep yourself prepared. I will tell you this: at this point, everybody's cleared to wrestle, other than a couple guys you wouldn't see anyway, just because they didn't get through with their they didn't get their heart stuff done. The Big Ten, you got to go through the whole heart MRI. Cardio. I want to get into it. You know what I'm talking about. So, a couple of those guys who you wouldn't see anyway have to do that. But other than that, everybody's cleared to wrestle.
We'll go Steve Falk. Steve.
Scott, Kale was talking yesterday about you guys going out to Penn State for extra matches. Is there any update on that today? And if you do go out there and can go out there, what kind of wrestlers would you send out there?
Yeah, what we were going to do even last week, we were going to go out to Indiana. So our administration called their administration. They were going to wrestle Maryland and Indiana, and that didn't work because of our COVID situation. Then we decided we would go to Indiana this week after Maryland, and they have Purdue Sunday night. So I said, why don't we just do matches? We don't have to bring all of our guys. I don't really feel comfortable putting all guys on a plane anyway, but let's just get some matches in. And that was okayed by the Big Ten. So I brought that to Cale's attention, saying, listen, I don't know if you want to do this, but I know there's some guys that need to get matches for you guys. I'm here to protect the Big Ten because the way I think about the conference, we have to have our best guys there from every school. So if he needs to get some matches in, I know they haven't had matches. We're willing and able to do that on Monday. So I'm waiting from him. I'm waiting from him to call me to let me know I spoke to the Big Ten. It's good. You can bring a certain amount of guys out. We don't have to do a duel, and that's what we'll do. So who they're going to be right now, I couldn't tell you just because I know there's certain weights you could look at their roster and say, well, obviously they need some matches at 25. They need some matches at 97. So we'll try to accommodate them as best we could. That being said, we're going to keep our guys healthy too. Like, there's no need for our guys to wrestle another match. This whole thing with COVID's really, really tricky, and my job is to get these guys to the Big Ten. We still have some guys. Hopefully, they get their fourth match Friday night. God willing, it goes off without a hitch, and we can get our fourth matches. But if they don't, then you got to make sure they're at the Big Ten tournament. So that's my job, is to get these guys to the Big Ten tournament and the national tournament.
Lex Knapp, you're next up. Go ahead.
Coach, is there anyone that you plan on sitting out this Friday that because of COVID and because they have their 4 matches, there's just no need to run the risk?
That's a great question because it's a tricky area, right? You haven't wrestled in 3 weeks. We haven't wrestled since January 31st. So what's the best way to prepare for the Big Ten tournament is to wrestle a match. So part of me says let's go wrestle if we're healthy. And then there's a part of me saying if we're not totally ready, the guys who, might not be ready because they just got back a week ago, do you wrestle them? So something the staff and I have been talking about quite a bit. We'll use today. We'll certainly use tomorrow morning. We'll get on a bus. We'll travel with everyone and see where we're at Thursday night. But, there's a part of me, let's wrestle, get the rust off, because there's nothing that duplicates a match, a weigh-in, anxiety, nerves, 7 minutes in the Big Ten. Or do you sit them out and just get to the Big Ten? So it's kind of what we're going over right now. And at the end of the day, we still have a dual meet, right? It's still a match. So be smart, be safe from a staff standpoint, but also try to get these guys as ready as possible because we're in championship season.
Nick Costco, go ahead.
Coach, you have a dual meet on Friday with Maryland, and you're possibly scheduling extra matches against Penn State next week. Do you have any other plans to make up any other matches against other teams, or this is pretty much it until the Big Ten tournament?
This is it until the Big Ten tournament. Everything will go as far as Monday, and that's it. So it'll be Maryland, and if we're fortunate enough we can bring some guys out to Penn State, we'll do that. If we can't, we won't, and that's it.
James Cratch, go ahead.
Scott, obviously you have a couple of weights that before the pause were kind of up in the air. Do you plan to have wrestle-offs before the Big Tens?
I think you'll probably see a couple, yeah. I think there's going to be a couple. We would have liked to wrestle a little bit sooner, but you don't want to interrupt the work week, which is what we're at now. never smart to really throw in a wrestle-off in the middle of a work week. So we'll figure out where we're at. We'll do what we got to do for Friday, and then we'll start making some decisions as far as wrestle-off goes come next week, and we'll get them done as soon as possible.
Mike Abramitis, go ahead.
Two questions, Coach. Is Grello available to wrestle if you wanted to get him some matches? And do you anticipate having extra matches this Friday against Maryland?
I do. There will be some extra matches. Grello is available. He's cleared off concussion protocol, so that's good. And yeah, I think there's 6 opportunities, 6 extra matches that we can get to down there. I think the weights are maybe 25. This is off the top of my head, 49, 57, 97. There's a couple heavyweights down there. And then I'll talk to Coach Clemson to see if they want to get any of their starters an extra match too. So, but at the very least, probably 6 or 7 matches, and hopefully we can get it to 10.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Lex Knapp, go ahead.
Coach, with having a few weights where there is multiple guys that could end up getting the spot for the Big Ten tournament, with having the quad canceled and losing some matches, did that throw a monkey wrench in the plans for getting some guys like maybe Dylan Schwaber or maybe even Boone McDermott extra goes and more looks before the decision needs to be made?
No question. That hurts the evaluation process from a coaching standpoint. All you could really do was really go by what we're seeing in the room, and they'll have a couple opportunities to compete this week, obviously. But yeah, it's probably been the hardest part. Like, who should be the guy? Do we go just off of what happened with Purdue Minnesota weekend? Or, there's a lot to be said for that. So yeah, I threw a monkey wrench in it. We lost 4 duels, 4 important duels, and obviously we wanted that quad, right? That was really, really important to us. So yeah, that hurts for sure. But listen, this is 2020, 2021, whatever the case might be. Deal with it, be professional as possible, and let's try to figure out the best possible lineup for the Big Ten and national tournament.
We have time for 2 more questions, so we'll close it out with Steve Falk and James Cratch. Go ahead, Steve.
How challenging and draining has this whole experience been, Scott?
Yeah, it's been hard, man. This has been hard. You wake up every day, and there's a lot of stress behind it. And you don't try to give that off. Myself and our staff, we have to be professional too. And as long as we're trying to do the right things and putting those things in place, and and it didn't work out, obviously, right? This thing sneaks up on you, and you don't know where you got it from, and it could be from watching film with a guy or watching film with staff, and the next thing you know, you're out for 2 weeks. So it's been hard. It's been difficult, and at the end of the day, there's no question about it. We have guys in that room that believe they can win a national title and become an All-American, and that's what you're thinking about. You don't want this to stop because of something silly, but it's the nature of the beast right now. So it's been stressful. I'll tell you this: it's been a lot less coaching wrestling, if that makes sense, and a lot more focusing on health and keeping them in the bubble. And give our guys credit. I think they've done a really, really good job. And but it sneaks up on you, and before you know it, it's one guy. It's a domino effect. And once you get to 2, 3, 4, you got to be really precautionary. Our doctors have been awesome and saying, listen, just shut this down for a couple days. And then, the staff took it a little further and shut it down. So that's kind of where we're at. But to answer your question, it's been hard. It's been stressful. It's been hard. And you're trying to get these guys to wrestle at a really, really high level. It's disappointing we're not able to go out of conference because we got guys right up the road we can get matches. Who cares if it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night? I mean, there's opportunities for us to wrestle right up the road, and we're not able to do it. So that's frustrating, and I don't want to get in trouble with the Big Ten, but I don't get that. Right. There's teams that have dropped their program that have wrestled 10 matches already this year. So that's frustrating to me. And they're doing tries, quads, open tournaments, open mats. Oklahoma State just got done running an invitational with 5 teams, and here we are, it's we got 4 matches in. So that's a little frustrating from my end, but what are you going to do?
James Cratch, you have the final question. Go ahead.
Scott, I guess, first off, is there only one bout at the Big Tens that counts? I know they have that rule with basketball and conference tournaments, but how much of a relief was it for the NCAA to come out and say it's going to be a 33-man bracket?
Yeah, that was good, and the teams across the country did a good job of making sure there was a season. Even Lock Haven came back for their, their conference championship. So I knew as long as we didn't lose teams and they stayed the course, we would have a 33-man bracket. But that was a relief. That's a relief, and we could spend all day talking about the allocations and all that. And I'd rather not get into that because I don't want to get in trouble and sound off. But, yeah, it's great that we're going to have a 33-man bracket. As far as the Big Ten tournament goes, you don't know what you're going to get, who's going to show up based on COVID. If you get 4 matches, you don't technically have to be there if there's a COVID-related issue. So are there going to be a 14-man bracket? I don't know. I'm anxious to see how coaches go about their guys. And obviously, if they're sick, there's nothing you could do. And if you have your 4, but that date's coming quick where you got to make a decision. They're out of the Big Tens because you only get 17 days. So I'm anxious to see what the qualifying tournaments look like across the country. I'm certainly anxious to see what they look like in the Big Ten, if that makes sense.
James, did you have a follow-up or you good?
No, Scott, if you have 2 bouts and you enter into Big Tens and you wrestle 2 there, that's your 4, right?
Yeah, if you get your 4 at the Big Tens, you're good, but you got to make the Big Ten. So I'll give you an example, James. Sammy Alvarez has 3 matches, right? If everything gets canceled for us, he's got to go to the Big Tens. We've got to make sure he's healthy. If he gets sick, it's over. I just use him as an example, right? He's only got 3 matches. Jackson Turley only has 3 matches. So they have to wrestle a match at the Big Ten tournament. Yeah.
So, okay, the reason why I asked was in basketball, you have to play 13 to get in, but only 1 conference tournament game counts toward your 13.
Yeah,
That's why I didn't know if it was the same with wrestling.
No, a little bit different. You just you could show up at the tournament 0-0, but you better win it. You got to win it. Or you got to get 4 matches in it. In that tournament. So at least that's the way I understand the rule, I know if you only have 3 going in, you got to get 1 more at the tournament. Or 2 going in, you got to get 2 at the tournament to get your 4.
All right, guys. That concludes our media availability. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.